Hello, my name is Charlotte, and I just wanted to share some of my journey with you because you're probably navigating some sort of similar waves to what I've been navigating throughout my life. Probably not the exact same journey because everybody's experience of life and mental health and everything is unique. But yeah, I'm going to share what I've been learning throughout my journey. So, I have picked my skin on and off throughout my 27 years of life. At the moment, you can see close up, there's one there that I've been picking a little bit recently, one that I'm actually leaving alone, and lots of scars from when I was picking a lot, but I actually overall really don't pick my skin much at all anymore. And for most of the time that I've been picking, I would say I've had it all entirely backwards when it comes to how to stop. So what I've learned recently is that the paradox of healing is that when we stop actually trying to fix ourselves, that's when we can actually heal. So, we're in this constant chasing of like, how do I make myself change? And that kind of like keeps the cycle perpetuating. So this doesn't mean that we can't have a desire to let go of old patterns and stop picking, because obviously if you're picking a lot, you know that it massively impacts your life, right? Like, I would wake up just in so much pain from all the wounds on my skin, and my daughter would look at me and she'd be like, "Oh, mommy, your face." Like, she could tell that it looked really raw and painful. And and my partner would try to be like really loving and supportive and not judgmental, but like also just really felt for me and wanted me to be in less pain and discomfort throughout my days, right? So it's obviously impacting us in our lives. If you reflect and think about like, how is this pattern affecting me, your confidence, everything, there's probably so much to it, right? So again, it doesn't mean that we don't wish that we could change. It doesn't mean that we don't have a desire to let go of the picking tendency, but it just means like really making peace with the fact that you're doing it instead of seeing yourself as a problem to fix, essentially. It also doesn't mean you're going to stay stuck forever. So I feel like the idea of letting go and like stopping trying to heal, then we think, okay, well then I'm never going to heal, right? And if I let go of the need to stop the pattern, then won't I stay stuck in this pattern forever? And like, I can't do that. It's harming me, right? So it doesn't mean you're going to stay stuck forever. What it does mean is that in this moment, you actually let it be okay that you feel messy and dysregulated and lost. Like, genuinely let it be okay that you're not feeling fully okay right now. Instead of, I should be feeling differently than this, what's wrong with me? It's like genuinely giving yourself so much grace and love and compassion and empathy for where you're at right now. Letting it be okay not to have it all together, right? Because a lot of the times we want to like grip and hold everything together, and even picking is sometimes like a perfectionist thing of like, oh, once I just pick this one spot, like then I'll feel perfect and then it'll be okay. And so we're trying to like hold everything together ourselves. It's letting it be okay that you actually don't have it all together. That's a big one for a lot of people. Not judging and shaming ourselves for our less than ideal patterns, right? So we can go, oh, I really wish I wasn't doing this. It is negatively impacting my life and it feels really challenging, without going, I hate myself, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this, right? We can ask, why am I like this? Like, to try to seek and understand what brought me here. But what's wrong with me? I shouldn't be doing this. We get into this shame spiral where we go, I should be better by now, right? Maybe we've gone like up and down throughout our journey with skin picking, and like we just think, okay, well, I thought I healed this, right? I thought I got better. I thought I was on the up, and now I'm back down, and now I'm in this spiral, and what's wrong with me? I should be. The word should does not belong in your vocabulary for the most part. It's kind of, an unhealthy, harmful word to cling to, of like, what's wrong with me? I should be better. Healing is not linear. So the fact that this pattern is very alive for you right now does not mean you've gone backwards. It just means it's extra present right now, probably for a reason. So we'll explore that in a second here. But anyway, this shame spiral doesn't actually help heal the pattern. And in fact, I would argue that it actually is the exact thing that perpetuates the pattern. The more we think, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Do you find you're actually picking more and more aggressively? So if it works that way, then it also kind of works the opposite way as well. So when we put the weight of the world down, stop trying to carry everything, stop trying to hold it all together, stop gripping, right? And actually allow ourselves to crumble and accept ourselves inside the mess. We stop gripping on so tightly. And honestly, it's the energy of clinging hard to control and avoiding actually letting go and falling apart. That's when probably most of us find ourselves picking, right? We're clinging, we're gripping, we're like tense. We're holding on to control. We're trying to hold on to the weight of the world. We're holding and carrying so much. We don't really think about it, but we're just trying to, control something in our picking. So maybe we don't always realize it, right? It's not always consciously like, I wish I could control everything about the world and I feel out of control and I feel stressed and therefore I'm going to start picking at my face. It's not always that conscious, right? Or at least it doesn't always start out that conscious. So maybe we're numbing out in front of the TV and picking. Maybe we're doom scrolling. That was always me. Whenever I was picking, I was usually like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling on my phone for like an hour while also picking. And I like couldn't stop scrolling until I stopped picking. And I couldn't stop picking until I like made sure every little part of my face was smooth, right? And so it just perpetuated where like now I'm just scrolling for no reason, picking for no reason. And now I'm mad at myself for wasting all this time. And why am I like this? Why am I doing this? Why am I scrolling for so long instead of hanging out with my family or building my business? Like the shame spiral, not helping us. But often we're doom scrolling and we're actually picking at the same time to try to smoothen what we can't control about the world. So we go, once I make this last part of my face smooth, then I can stop, right? There's always like one more, just 5 more seconds, 5 more minutes, right? I'm almost done. And, as you know, if you spend a lot of time in front of the mirror picking or in front of your phone picking, just one more, 5 more seconds, like never actually ends. So this like idea of getting to the point where now our skin all over our body feels perfectly smooth and there's nothing else to be picked, then I can stop. That state of perfectly smooth is impossible, right? You're always gonna, if you're searching for a bump, if you're searching for something to smoothen out, you're always gonna find it, right? So because that feeling is impossible, then the feeling of true satisfaction and peace and safety that we're chasing from picking is never going to come from picking. It's got to come from within. But we have this illusion in our minds that like once I do this, once I do that, then I'll feel safe, then I'll feel in control, then I'll feel smooth. We're not necessarily thinking these thoughts consciously, but there's a part of ourselves that's gripping to like, once I do this, then I will stop. And that point in time that feels peaceful and fulfilled never really comes if it's coming from an external thing like your skin. So the harder part is once we notice what we're doing or somebody else points it out to us, now we feel even more ashamed that we actually aren't stopping right away. Sometimes you notice, you become conscious of it and you're like, oh yeah, I don't need to pick, and you stop. But more often than not, we probably feel embarrassed that we're doing it, judgmental towards ourselves, that we are back in this same boat, judged or criticized by others, again, ashamed. And so all of those feelings perpetuate the same like gripping onto control and fixing ourselves that actually is not helping the picking, right? So it feels then even worse that we're not stopping. Because again, if you're not stopping, you're not really paying attention to the fact that you're not stopping, that's one thing. If now you have eyes on you or your own awareness on you and you're going, why am I still doing this? Why haven't I stopped? What's wrong with me? Then that feeling is even worse. Because how do I actually explain that I'm aware that this is happening? I'm aware that this is damaging my skin. I'm aware that I am damaging my own skin. And I'm still choosing to keep going even though I know it's going to hurt tomorrow. I know it's potentially going to get infected. At least if you can pick, like, wash your hands first, but sometimes we don't really think about it that much. So don't shame and judge yourself if you didn't, but I know it's probably going to get infected. I know it's going to make my life miserable. I know that I'm, going to feel less confident when I leave the house, like all these things, and still I'm choosing it. So again, now you're judging the fact that you're doing this and you're aware of it and you should be stopping by now, right? That feeling is even worse. And so we think like, wow, I really must hate myself in order to do this to my face. Like I must be some kind of psychopath, right? I must just not want to be here on this earth. I must be depressed, which sometimes, again, it does absolutely coincide with depression. And sometimes it's just this story that we tell ourselves that now I'm doomed and what's wrong with me. Maybe I want to harm myself because I hate myself. Maybe that's not true. But again, we get in our heads like, what kind of person would keep hurting themselves knowingly and not stop? So we judge it even more. We go, something must be so wrong with me. What does this mean about me and my mental health? Again, we start creating these stories and fears about what it means. Instead of letting it be, we go, this means something about me and it's a bad thing and it's a problem and I am a problem. We go, I'm not doing well, I'm going backwards. I've had that so many times. I must be going backwards in my mental health. My family is going to look at me and think I've gone backwards, think that I'm not okay, think that I need saving. I need to put all the concealer on to show them that I have my shit together. Like, what are they going to think about me? What is it going to mean about me as a person? How can I be showing up in this world yet looking like this? I look like a disaster, right? And so we're gripping and gripping again to like, how do I stop myself from going backwards in my healing? How do I avoid this collapse? And in fighting so hard to avoid the feeling of crumbling, we actually keep ourselves stuck and stuck and stuck and stuck and stuck in limbo, which I would argue is more detrimental to us than actually allowing the crumbling, right? So we keep ourselves stuck and numbing and clenching and hiding. And these are all actually protective mechanisms. So skin picking, you know, honestly, so many other habits as well, but I'm focusing on skin picking today. But this can be like porn addictions and scrolling and, you know, hair pulling. There's so many different tendencies that actually are very similarly related. But this is my experience, so this is about skin picking. But these are just ways of trying to protect ourselves. They're protective mechanisms. And ultimately, what's going on within us is usually that there is a little child inside of us who is innocent and pure, who felt unsafe at one point or various points throughout our lives and learned this coping strategy, in this case, picking at their skin, as a tool to feel in control of something while everything else feels scary and uncertain. So again, there's a little child inside of us who is just gripping to try to feel safe in this world. That's not a bad person. That's not the devil. You're not, you know, you are just trying to keep yourself safe and you don't really realize how. But really, instead of getting angry with the coping strategy and frustrated that we don't have it all together, we actually get to gift that inner child what they really need. And so, inner child healing, you may have heard the phrase, might seem like just a super woo-woo concept or like some passing trend that people are talking about, but ultimately, inner child healing is actually what most therapy roots back to at its core. Without blaming or shaming or hating our parents, our teachers, siblings, bullies, etc. from childhood, we can still very likely trace back to a time in our childhood that we started feeling out of control, where our nervous system started gripping, fighting, running, numbing to try to survive. So for me personally, it was as a baby, alone in a crib, and I've uncovered that after years of diving deep into understanding where my nervous system got really hypervigilant and started fixating and clenching and trying to control everything, where a lot of my anxiety has stemmed from throughout my life. The skin picking, all of it, it's very deeply connected. So a lot of it stemmed from there. It stemmed from being an older sister who was wise beyond her years and honestly probably holding way too much weight on my shoulders at a very young age. I was a good girl, I was a perfectionist, I was a high achiever, and then because of that and because of all the praise that I achieved for being good and for getting good grades, I started tying my worth and my lovability to grades and accomplishments, and I spiraled into shame throughout my life when I couldn't always uphold that impossible standard, like getting 100%, A+++ and everything, or always being the best, always being the leader. When I couldn't hold that all together, I felt like, but that's what makes me loved, right? So again, shame spiral when you can't be perfect at everything. So what I want you to know is that you don't need to be fixed and you don't need to be saved. You're already whole, you're already healed. Again, we can spin ourselves in circles forever thinking like, I'm not healed enough yet to love myself. You're actually perfect as you are. It's hard to see that in the mess, but you are. What you need is to feel loved and to feel held and to feel safe and to feel genuinely listened to after probably years of people just going, well, what's wrong with you? Why do you do this? Right? People don't really get it. Skin picking is like a topic that doesn't always get talked about a lot in the mainstream world. And that's why I want to be a stand for it, because people don't know how to help, right? Like my mom would look at me and go, oh, I'm so sorry, like what can I do, how can I fix you, kind of energy. And same with my dad, my stepmom, like they cared about me and they wanted to help me, but in fact it just made me feel more alone and isolated and like something's wrong with me, and like people are pitying me and looking at me like I'm a problem and I need to be solved, instead of just a person that needs to be loved even when her skin looks like this. So again, I've learned a lot, and maybe we'll share more as well on like how others in your life can support you too. But I'll try to keep this short enough. So yeah, you don't need to be fixed. You don't need to be saved. You need to be reminded that you're not alone. That's a big one too. When we can come together and have that sense of belonging, that, wow, other people navigate these waves as well. And maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe I'm not a problem, right? And you need to be reminded that you're actually free and safe to set down all the weight that you've been carrying. So I have a program that supports humans to come back home to a place of inner safety in themselves and their bodies while the world around us feels completely out of control. It's a space that supports you to feel that sense of belonging and to be around others who are willing to have these hard conversations and not just judge and shame and try to fix each other, but actually just hold space and go, I understand, and you're not alone. So if you're desiring more support on your healing journey, message me home or comment below, comment home for the link. But first, I just want to offer you, regardless of whether you come into that space, I want to offer you some guidance for when you're in these moments and you don't feel like you can stop. So number one is stop trying to stop. And I know it sounds really backwards, but whatever you resist persists, and forcing yourself to stop in the past, if you have, been on a journey of, I need to make myself stop right now, or somebody in your life is like, stop, I'm going to hold your hand so that you don't do it anymore. Forcing yourself to stop out of shame and judgment has ultimately landed you right back here again. So I can promise you that it might seem like it works in the moment, but it's just a band-aid solution, and it's not actually a sustainable way to heal. Number two is take a deep breath. If you can, while you're picking, like, something that helped me sometimes, not always, but was to shift my fingers and press really, really hard on the spot that I'm picking instead of continuing to dig at it. Just press really hard, because it still gives it like that feeling that you're controlling something. That might give you a long enough break for a second that you can come back home to your center before you keep picking and damaging it. But if you are finding it too hard to shift in that moment and you're judging yourself for not stopping, it's okay. Don't put the pressure on needing to stop. But at least while you're picking, bring in some deep breaths while you're picking to remind your nervous system that you're actually safe. That was a big one for me. I would notice that I was doing it, and I would notice this pull to be like, you should stop. Why am I doing this? And then I would instead of being like, oh, what's wrong with me for not stopping right away, I would go, even while I'm picking, I'm gonna at least breathe deeply and remember that I'm safe. I'm safe while I pick. I'm loved while I pick. And that was a big game changer for me. Number three, instead of asking yourself, why am I like this? What's wrong with me? Actually remember, it makes total sense that I'm doing this. Give yourself some empathy and some compassion and some grace and go, it actually makes perfect sense. There is a little part of me who is gripping onto control right now. And that part of me is not against me. That part of me is not evil. We're actually on the same team. So when you can come back home in the moment and remember, like, oh, it actually makes so much sense that I'm doing this, instead of I'm crazy and I should stop and what's wrong with me, you remember I am actually safe and loved right here. Not on the other side of this wave, but right in the messy middle of it. So I'm not saying that these little steps and tools are going to fix you and like be some shortcut to healing your life overnight, but they might just help you come back to your center slowly and gently, just enough so that eventually you forget what you were picking to solve in the first place. So again, when we come back home, when we can regulate while doing it, when we can remember that we're safe and loved while doing it, that might just be enough. And if it's not, at least you're doing it with love instead of judgment and shame, which perpetuate and make it worse. So a pattern that's designed to give you this illusion of control and safety ultimately has no use in your life anymore when you let go of the need for control and actually feel safe from within. So that's what my biggest focus is with helping people find that inner sense of safety and that inner sense of peace while in the midst of their mess, instead of waiting for the other side to feel worthy of love. That's why. Because again, if you already feel whole, if you already feel safe, if you already feel lovable, then the whole fighting to feel lovable, fighting to reach this illusion of perfection and control doesn't really have a need in your life anymore. So inevitably, what no longer serves you will simply fall away. And it might sound easier said than done, but honestly, after years and years and years of chasing the best solution to try to make myself stop, I believe living proof that treating ourselves as a problem to be fixed is actually the opposite of what we truly need to heal. So again, comment or message me home to continue this journey together if that's calling you. Honestly, healing is not linear, and I'm not a savior, I'm not a guru, I'm not going to fix or change you. You may change, you'll probably change because change is inevitable in life, but I am really a strong believer that we're meant to walk this path together. We're not meant to do it all alone, we're not meant to hold the weight of the world alone. So if you'd like someone there with you holding your hand through the journey, let's walk this path together.